Today I'm going to be talking about the power of positive reinforcement and affirmation. I'm sure you guys heard of it before, right? It's been around for like 100 years. Um, have you guys heard of it? Yeah. Okay. Fingers, right? Good. Opinion? I don't know about this, or I don't know. How do you guys feel?
I feel neutral.
Neutral? Neutral? Okay. Okay. All right. There's so much information out there, misinformation too, from anyone from like dog trainers, psychologists, coaches, right? Like comedians, they talk on social media, right? Love to make fun of like positive affirmation and, like positive parenting, whatever. But I want to really make it clear, right? Clarify like, what is it, right? What is positive reinforcement? What is positive affirmation? And so we're going to be talking about these things, okay? Um, sorry. Does it work? What is it? Does it work? If it doesn't work, why does it not work? Because I'm sure you tried it before. If you heard of it before, if you're neutral or positive or you tried it before, why doesn't it sometimes doesn't work? And how can we as parents be more positive? So I'm going to be talking about those 4 things. So let's get started. What is positive reinforcement and affirmation? So let's start with positive reinforcement. This is like one of the key concepts. I'm sure you've heard of it, by a concept by B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning theory of behavior. It's a process of adding a reward immediately after a desired behavior happens to encourage repetition. So positive in this is like math plus. You're adding something after a behavior, right, to encourage reinforcement is to encourage repetition in a certain context, right? So you're adding a reward to increase the behavior you want to see in your child. So pretty simple, right? Does that make sense? Okay. Positive affirmation. What is it? Okay. It's positive phrases and statements that used to challenge like the negative or unhelpful thoughts and motivates change in thinking and behavior. What it is. So anything that you say that challenges our thoughts, challenges the unhelpful thoughts, and motivates our behaviors to change. That's positive affirmation. Have you guys ever practiced positive affirmations before? Right? You've heard it. There's a lot of opinions about this too, right? Like a lot of new age people use it, or some like, like televangelists. And it's like, oh man, it's like best life now. So some people have like opinions about positive affirmations, but like how do we use it correctly? That's why I want to talk about that today. So let's talk about it. Does it work? It's the impact of positive reinforcement. The short answer is yes, it works. Positive reinforcement works so well, right? So much research, almost like 100 years worth of research says, yes, it does work. But when you use it exactly as it was intended, when you use the reinforcements, the rewards, right, the way it's supposed to be. When you use positive reinforcements, there's 3 things that you need to remember: immediacy, frequency, and consistency. Immediacy is how quickly you have to, like if a child does a positive behavior, you want to immediately reward that behavior. When you do that, it causes a stronger connection between the behavior that I did just right now and that dopamine, the good feeling that I get of like, oh yeah, that was good, right? When you delay it, you don't give that reward right away, what do you think could happen? What happens? Yeah. So maybe that's like what are you rewarding me for, right? It's like they're picking their nose after they did something, like, oh, pick my nose, good behavior, I'll do that more, right? We don't want to reward the wrong behavior. So we want to reinforce the right behaviors right away. Frequency. So when you teach a new behavior, a brand new behavior. For example, you're teaching them reading, or hey, like today we're going to make it a thing. We're going to learn how to say thank you, or we're going to learn how to put away our backpacks after we come home from school, put it inside our room and not at the doorway or randomly all over the place, right? We're going to work on that behavior. So you're going to teach the behavior, model the behavior, practice it, and whenever they do it, immediately give them a reward, right? And what kind of reward? What's the best kind of reward to give, right? Usually in research things, they have food, or, like things like that. But you don't want to give candy every time. Good job, like a treat, you don't want to do that, right? I mean, the treat jar, right? Because when it's a new behavior, you want to do it every single time. Maybe that's something that could be working. But another thing that's really effective for children is praise. We notice that kids, they crave affirmation. They crave connection. Like healthy children, they want to be good. They want to be told, I'm making good choices. Healthy children, they want to be praised for their behavior, right? And that praise, when you make eye contact, like, good job today, right? Hey, that behavior, like you put the shoes away. Great job. Good job. Or even just a thumbs up, or like a wink, right? Or just like a saw that, right? That's so rewarding for them in their brain, like that dopamine happening, like lights up their brain. Find what's interesting and reinforcing the kids for your own kids. Because positive reinforcement is only positive reinforcement if it causes the likelihood of behavior occurring again, right? If it is not very rewarding for them, they're not gonna want to repeat. Does it mean that we give them candy all day? If you want to, I don't know if that's the choice that I want to make. Praise is also a good one. When you look at TikTok, video games, gambling, they all use this positive reinforcement. At first, you want to reward right away every time to make that connection, but as they get used to it, you kind of decrease the frequency, right? You put them in a different, the reward schedule every 5 times. Once in a while, you give them the reward, and it actually strengthens that bond. It's so important to catch our kids in the act of being good, right? What do we usually do when kids are being quiet, when they're doing really good and they're reading and they're just being wonderful? Don't disturb the ecosystem, right? And just okay, I'm just gonna slowly back away, let them be good. A lot of times parents don't encourage good job. Hey, I'm so proud of you. You're folding your clothes. Instead of just kind of leave them do that thing. But the moment they make a disruption, the moment they fight with their sibling, the moment they're doing something wrong or sneaking their phone or whatever, right? We go hey, stop it. Immediate attention, immediate focus. Even though it's negative attention, like I said before, kids crave attention. Kids crave parental contact for that. Even if it's negative, if they don't have enough positive interaction, they will even want to have the negative consequences. So the negative attention is better than no attention at all. So they would sometimes do stuff to get a rise out of you. Have you guys experienced anything like that? Yeah? What was it? Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Right. We just they're expected to, you should know, you should feel good about doing good on your own. I shouldn't have to tell you. But you know what? They need to hear it. They crave it. They want it more than candy. They want it more than screen time. That positive attention, that positive connection with the parents. Older kids, you say you have junior high and high school. What about you? Both. What about you? Both. Junior high and high school?
No, I'm sorry.
Elementary and middle school. Okay. Younger kids, oh my gosh, good job, buddy. They love it, right? Older kids, if you do that in front of their friends, they're like, oh, not reinforcing, right? You want to do that in private. You're like, hey, good job. Or like a private little thumbs up. Yeah, it is embarrassing for them. They like it, but it's like, oh, not in front of my friends, right? But like, hey, I saw that, or privately, like on your drive back, like, hey, I just want to know, I noticed you cleaned your room. I was really proud of you. You should be proud of yourself too. Very reinforcing for them. And older kids, they're more sensitive to inauthentic. Hey, good job, buddy. I'm really proud of you. And if it's inauthentic, they have respond to that too. So, like, now I'm not telling you to act, but really kind of like mean it when you give them that praise. Descriptive praise, and I'm sure you guys heard of that too, right? Instead of saying good job, describe exactly what. Hey, they're keeping you, for little kids, they're keeping the body nice and safe. Good job. Or, hey, you picked up the backpack and put it in your room. Great job. Or your shoes. I noticed that you put that away. I'm really proud of that. Really describe exactly what they're doing well. This allows parents to opportunities to be attuned to child's strength and encourage their behavior. So, one thing that I do want to really talk about when we talk about positive reinforcement is the impact of 15 minutes of positive attention in play. 15 minutes. Have you guys heard of this before? 15 minutes of play. I used to work in Shasta County. Do you guys know where Shasta County is? Way up north. And I used to make house calls in people's homes or schools, like preschools, classrooms, all the way to 6th grade. If there's kids that are spitting on teachers, and knocking kids down and putting kids in hospitals, and I'll be called, and I would have these meetings. And the research and the people that are saying it, more effective for tantrums and bad behavior, the best way to change that is not medication. It's 15 minutes of play. And when I read that, I'm like, no, like I play with kids, like that's not true. But I was a trainee, and I was like, okay, this is what I was taught, and I would, go to their homes and teach them how to do that. When I say 15 minutes of play, it's not, okay, good job, buddy. Hey, stay safe. Not like that. That's not 15 minutes of play with them, right? 15 minutes of like focused, attuned play. And no agenda. Not like, you know what, problem solving today. Talk about like friendship today. No agenda. Right? Oh, today we're going to be talking about no agenda. Hey, buddy, what do you want to do? Hey, mom forgot how to play. I'm so old and I forgot how to play. Teach me how to play with Barbie. And or teach me whatever. What do you want to play? And do whatever they want to do. No agenda. No hovering. You're like, why did you make that choice? None of that. As long as they're being safe to the body, themselves, and to others, just play with them. Just like a little kid. Ask them to teach you how to play. Stay attuned. No phones. Right? No tablet. No TV. It's not just like playing and then like working on my email on the side. Just like really attuned. Allow them to be. And it's kind of, we don't have all the time, right? Or we need 15 minutes. It's all you need is 15 minutes. Really. It's like, hey, I really want to only focus on you today for just 15 minutes because you're so important to me. I set a timer, and this time is just for us. And that becomes a very special time for that kid. And they just, whatever, like playing with Barbie, playing with Legos. And this is for the younger kids, right? You play and just make observations like Mr. Rogers, like, wow, I'm noticing. That's a really pretty blue. Wow, you're building a beautiful tower. I wonder who lives in that tower. Like make observations of what the child is doing. Just being interested. in what they're doing and saying and how they're using imagination to play. For older kids, right? Like, hey, do you want to play? They're going to be like, no, mom, go away, right? Not for older kids. Go for coffee or whatever, like, go to Dutch Bros or go to like their favorite boba shop. Like, hey, like after school or after church, even once a week, or like after, practice. Hey, let's not go home right away. You want to go grab some coffee, or do you want to go grab some tea with me? You want to go grab some, I don't know, what's a cool like new snack or new place that you want to try? Let's just go hang out. And no agenda again, not about, hey, I want to talk to you about responsibility. Or, hey, I want to talk to you about school, how's school going? Like, just talk to them, just like a friend. Like when you used to hang out in junior high and middle school and in high school, just wanting to catch up with an old friend. Like, just allow them to lead that conversation for 15 minutes and really bond. And what that does, it's like magic. It's not magic, but it's like they became relaxed. Even my nephew, if he plays, right, he just destroys the whole room. Like, I don't know how he does it. He comes into a room within 10 minutes, everything is like everywhere, right? So I asked my brother to play with him 15 minutes, right? Just know, and he just now learned how to play, sitting down and playing. And he doesn't need negative attention anymore, right? He gets 15 minutes. He feels full. Like he doesn't have to act out anymore. He doesn't have to do that. And he loved that time so much. He reminds my brother, like, excuse me, remember our 15 minute? Can we do that again? Less fighting with sisters, right? Because that's what he really wanted and needed at that moment. And so I would go home, to school. At first, not really believing that 15 minutes could do anything, but I saw kids that used to be all over the place. As long as consistently the parents practice this 15 minutes with the kids, I saw like them changing, and I'm a believer now, right? Like so many kids changing. And the only time it didn't really work is if they didn't continue that 15 minutes of complete, like, hey, no agenda playtime, right? So that's that magic of 15 minutes play. The next one, yes.
How do you do that when you have multiple?
Yes. Oh, great question.
One become more jealous of the other.
Yes.
That was for you.
Exactly.
I was thinking, man, that's 2 hours.
Oh, that's right.
$100 day at Starbucks.
Yeah, one at a time. One at a time. That's why it's 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. Do you have a lot of kids? Oh, okay. So yeah, it's like 2 hours, right? Maybe split it up, right? Like every other day, right? So that you say maybe the littles, right, on this day, and then the bigs, like somehow split them up in a different schedule, right? But you really want to do one-on-one play. That complete attention and attunement with that child is so important. So, like separately. So, I never had to really work with a family with like 7 children before, but like up to 3 and 4, like hey, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Even if it means you don't do that every single day with every single one of them, but at least everybody has their own 15 minutes. My turn, switch it out, right? And you have that timer going. But yeah, one-on-one, great question. Positive affirmation, does it work? Yes, question mark, and no. Research for positive affirmation is split. It does work. There are studies during neuroscientific research also with MRI evidence saying there's neural pathways involved in positive evaluation of self-related information. Processing becomes more active when we practice positive affirmations. It improves your mood and self-esteem in individuals who already have pretty good self-esteem. But the bad news is, and I'm going to say reasons why it's not effective. I'm going to start with positive affirmation. like the kids with really low self-esteem that really struggle with self-esteem, or really depressed kids, right? Or even adults, right? It doesn't work. And it actually makes them mad. I feel so unloved. And if I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, I am loved. It's like I'm arguing with myself. And what happens after an argument? Do you feel like, oh yeah, your arguments make sense and I'm going to change my view? We don't really do that. When we argue with someone, what we really believe, we get more ingrained in our beliefs, right? When they do that, I'm like, oh, I'm lying to myself. That's not true. And what happens is that it's the existing negative belief gets stronger. So in some people with really low self-esteem, it's not really helpful for them to just say, I am this. So when you don't believe that positive things, then it's not going to really work. How do we make it work? So belief. How do we change negative core beliefs in our children, right? Core beliefs is like a deeply rooted belief about myself. You can't change that by forcing your child to say something that she or he does not believe. What changes it is evidence. Evidence. Like, okay, so I was born in Korea, South Korea, and then I came here when I was in third grade, right? And I'm like, oh man, I'm so Korean. I'm so Korean. But then my parents moved us back to South Korea when I was in ninth grade, right? And I was like, I always thought like, dude, I'm so Korean. I'm so Korean. But whenever I went and talked to people, they're like, dude, you're so American. Your accent, like so American. The way you think, the way you do things, the way you say things, it's so American. Like I kept hearing, you're so American. Like, oh wait, am I not really Korean? Am I more American? Like, if more people kept telling me one thing and after another, I start to believe it because, not because like, they argue with me, but because so many people keep telling me. Or maybe like I suck at sports. And you guys were talking about football earlier. I'm like, oh, I don't understand football, right? But if I play the game and somebody goes, good job, you're actually really good at soccer. What? And then I'm like, no. And then next time a friend or a coach or a parent keeps telling me that I'm good, and it feels kind of good when I hear it, even though I say no. But if I keep collecting those evidence of who I really am, like, oh, actually, I might be good at this. And what happens and the change happens is like, oh, I want to hear that more. So I'm going to practice playing soccer all by myself. So that next time somebody catches me play, I would hear that compliment more. So what changes that core belief is collecting evidence. Help your children collect evidence of who they are, right? That they are good. These are the evidence, and you give them the evidence. You share the evidence, and you practice those evidence. Help them have that, or to change their mindset by collecting evidence. The next one is positive reinforcement. When is positive reinforcement not effective? So you guys all tried positive reinforcement before. I want to tell you something. People, you guys like bribes versus rewards, right? Reward, you get the good stuff when? That's right, after the behavior. Bribes, you get the reward when? Right? If you bribe them, give them something before they do the good behavior, that's not positive reinforcement. They're having a tantrum or something like, hey, remember, you get a great treat if you do this, right? You're not reinforcing good behavior. You're saying, hey, I will give you a gift. And what was the behavior that you caught them doing? Tantrum. So what gets actually, ingrained is tantrum. If I do have a tantrum, I will get the reward. You're reinforcing the wrong behavior. Or the control to access to the reinforcers. So that's why like tokens and sometimes like, treats and stuff, sometimes it doesn't work when they have access to the rewards without earning it, then it loses its effectiveness in behavior change as a behavior change agent. So praise from the parent, like you give it to them when they do the behavior, but like if they are sneaky and like they get the candy or whatever that sticker is and they put it, now what they're reinforcing is be sneaky and you get the reward, right? So that's not what you want, but you want to have either a lockdown on the rewards or don't give them the reward without catching them in the behavior, not bribing them with the rewards, because bribe doesn't work. Reward immediately after they actually naturally do the behavior, that works. 15 minutes of positive attunement with the parent, that works, right? Bribing, threatening, like, you're not going to get it if you, like, doesn't really change. Maybe short term, not long term change. Other thing is, parents get like reinforced with behavior, right? Kids are, acting out. Please, let's be gentle with our hands, or like, hey guys, let's clean up. No response. And then what do you have to do? What do you guys do when they don't listen when you use a nice happy voice? Raise your hey, right, and then they go like, whoa, and then the behavior stops right away. Ooh, that's called negative reinforcement, right? The thing that you didn't like went away as soon as you took away something, or actually it's positive reinforcement because you added hey, and then that behavior went away. Oh, that's so rewarding. Why would I waste my time being positive and doing this when it's immediate, right? But they're also being reinforced too, right? They get that negative reinforcement, like negative attention from the parents. Remember, negative attention is better than no attention. So I want attention from my mom. I'm going to break stuff, right? I've seen my nephew actually do this, like look at me and be like, and I was like, it was like he just making eye contact. He wants negative reinforcement, like negative attention, because that's what he was used to, right? He wants it, then he knows what he needs to do. He was reinforced. If I do something bad, I will get redirection. His parents were reinforced. If I yell and scare him like that, then he will stop, right? These kind of reinforcement has to be extinguished. It has to stop and really start developing new positive reinforcements. Okay, how are we doing on time? Are we almost out of time? Okay. So a lot of these positive affirmations, positive reinforcements, it is really hard to give when I don't have it myself, right? Like I have a bottle of water, and if my kid wants some water, I could just give it to him, right? Kids crave positive attention. I give positive attention. But if there's no water in this canister, I can't give. No matter how much I want to give you this water that you crave, that you need, I can't give it to you. When spiritually, I'm not in a place where I can give positive reinforcement. Like physically, I'm not in a place. I am burnt out. I don't have a positive bone inside of me right now. I'm going through my own marital issues. I'm going through my own issues. I can't give you what I don't have. I can't manufacture something I don't have. And remember I told you the older kids, they could smell BS so good. They're like, ugh. They're just trying to control me, right? When it's not genuine attention. So when I don't really have it, I can't give it. So before, when I was doing parent training too, like before we even did the 15 minutes of play, I would say, what fills your cup? What restores your spirit? What restores your soul? That's so important if you want to have that consistency, the frequency, and the immediacy of giving that positive reinforcement and positive attention and affirmation for kids. So think about that. What do I need? Do I need is that just as simple as walk? Do I need to go to therapy myself? Do I need that time alone with God? Like, what fills my soul? What fills my spirit? Parents need that before we could give that to the kids. Another important thing is 5-to-1 ratio. That ratio, that's really a sweet spot, is that 5 positive comments for every negative. Like, no. I'm saying, not saying positive reinforcement should be the only tool in your box, because that's not going to work. That's like the gentle parenting. Like, no, like that's not really helpful. You need all the different tools. It's a really effective tool, and it makes long-term changes in children. That's why we want to rely on that tool. I also don't know a lot about tools, but my toolbox, the screwdriver with the cross, like that's the tool. That's my tool. Like I use that one thing for everything, right? Not so much hammer because but I do need the hammer. I do need the pliers. I do need everything else too, right? There's sometimes when kids are not safe, like we do need to be like extinguish that behavior right away. If there's a negative pattern that's happening in my family, I need to extinguish that right away. That does not mean I'm not catching them in the positive. Then I need to do that. I need to really work on that too. But really, like 5-to-1 ratio. What I mean by that, I have it right here. This is a tool that I like to use, like poker chips. After work or after pickup, after school, I tell them to have these poker chips in one pocket, five chips, right? And you have to catch, right, your child doing a positive behavior, right? And so every time you're like, hey, buddy, and like sometimes it takes a long time. Like, oh, you were being nice to your sister. One, the next pocket. Hey, good job, buddy. Like, you put away that toy. Hey, buddy, thank you for helping mommy clean the, plates. Put the plates away. Wow, good job. Thank you for sharing. And hey, that's a really nice. You're being very helpful earlier. Now, can you guys please keep it down a little bit, right? And then now you move it over here, right? And then same thing again and again, right? Catch 5 before you reset, right? The reason why we want to do this is because remember we don't want to train them to crave negative attention. We want them to crave that positive attention from you, because if they get the mostly negative attention, they're going to crave that. It's almost like, how the body's kind of like that. It almost gets addicting to them too. Like parents giving you that much attention, or them feeling the power of making my mom lose control. Like that feels good to them. So we want to practice giving positive attention so they get used to that. And that is what feeds them rather than the negative. Okay. I think I'm really going really long. So I'm going to try to keep it short. We're going to have a Q&A so that you guys could ask the questions. Neil, he has more experience with the high school students and the older kids. So I want they'll have a really good Q&A time. But I wanted to share this one important thing is affirmation, right? I don't have kids of my own. Like God, that wasn't God's plan for me. But I have a lot of nieces, lots of nephews. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of kids. I was a Sunday school teacher for such a long time, and I used to teach. I did homeschool. I was a math teacher. I did all this other stuff before becoming a therapist. And I work with so many kids, and I love them. And one thing that I see in every one of them is that need to be affirmed, to be seen, to feel safe, to be heard, to be just attuned to, and just be like, wow, I see you. Every single kid I've ever been with, all the way, like every culture, every age, and they all desire that. We know this because we see this in the Bible. After creation, God declared creation what? Good. And when he created man, he said it was very good. Paul says that we're masterpieces. God calls us masterpieces, right? Why does God repeatedly affirm us and teach us to affirm one another if we don't need to hear that affirmation, that positive attention for our kids and for ourselves? And that's why it's so important to train our kids to change their behavior, to kind of like reinforce that positive behavior that they already have, and to really say positive things that I do see my kids already doing, and I'm really building on that strength. So I'm gonna do. I have other stuff, and I'm out of time. To learn how to be. We'll talk more about this during Q&A, some practical stuff. But sometimes we're not positive, right? I'm a therapist. I know this. I study this. I'm a therapist, but I have bad days too. Like I am sometimes like, oh man. It doesn't mean that I can't do this. Remember, the kids are really resilient. In parenting and everything, teaching too, right? Redemption should be the focus. Deepening the human soul that comes from melody and transforms. Kids are so resilient, and the journey is more important. And over time, that small moments of that positive attention that you gave, that one time that you played one-on-one with your kids, and that coffee that you had with the child, or whatever, that quiet time that you had, it adds up, right? And over time, those small moments of positive attention and interaction really do add up. So continue. And sometimes really hard, and I just cannot do this, contact a therapist to help with that. And I just talked a lot about healthy kids crave this positive. When your child's really, really hurting, it's like they don't even want to crave that positive attention. And that's when we need to know, like, need professional help them want to crave that positive attention. So